Good morning, everybody. All right, so good morning, everybody. Today is the 29th day in the month of June, 2022. My name is Heritage. It's a markets analyst at HFM Nigeria. And as always, we check through the markets, find out what the overall sentiment is, find out the provided opportunities, and then how we can take advantage of it. But like always, please remember that this is just a communication material. And nothing in this communication contains or should be considered as investment advice or investment recommendation. It is acknowledged that investment in FX and CFD products is characterized by a certain degree of uncertainty, and then any investment of this nature involves a high level of risk for which the user is solely responsible and reliable. Now, what we have this morning to start the day is an overall risk off flow. Well, it's a different one from what we had on Monday as well as Tuesday, right? And this time around, this risk off flow is spilling over from yesterday's weak consumer confidence data point out from the US, right? First of all, on Monday, we started the markets more on the positive side, ended up negative. On Tuesday, we started more positive, ended up negative. Today, we're starting more negative, but even mostly flat. Now, I had this written down earlier today, and let me just quickly run through it. Now, US consumer sentiment that printed lower than market expectation yesterday, triggered risk of flows on renewed fears of economic slowdown, right? Equities ended the day lower despite starting positive, just like we saw on Monday. Now, right so far today, we're keeping losses from yesterday's session. Equities generally start in the red. We look across board, they're mostly trading red so far, even though the margins are really small, but we'll get to that in a moment. Good. Although the momentum has really slowed as US futures are mostly flat, right? To start the session. US already is barely changed right now, just trading right around that 38,500 level, right? Commodities are generally lower today as well. That's clearly not, sort of a surprise, considering the risk off flow that we have in the markets. Although you look at oil prices, the downside has been limited. This has been tiny. If as a matter of fact, generally still grinding higher because we still have supply constraints, supply concerns, still a major one in the oil market, right? Later today we have OPEC meetings, so there's also that to pay attention to, even though we're not expecting much to change, right, from OPEC plus, but clearly that's one to pay attention to. Bond yields are low as well, and then you have measures of volatility also trading high. Now, all of these points to risk of flows. Although one thing I want to have in the back of my mind is the risk of flow that we've seen so far, they're not strong enough. I think it's a spillover from yesterday. I don't think there's any new, there's really no new, particular development really. And then we are approaching month end, quarter end, half year end. So I think this entire week we're going to have that overall mess in the market. That still remains and it's still very much evident. Now, even FX, right, the risk of flows is still very much evident. The safe havens lead the majors, especially the US dollar topping the majors as well, right? Cities also cited month-end dollar buying, stronger dollar buying into month-end. So that's also another reason why market participants are also seeing some strength in the dollar. So dollar is supported by the expectation for slower economic growth, slower basically economic recession that supports the dollar, right? Risk of flows generally we're having so far today also is supportive factor for the dollar, and then month-end buying as well. Also one, and then closely followed by Japanese yen and the Swiss franc, right? Just classic risk off. On the other hand, the antipodiums, AUD, NZD are mostly lacking. SCAD is somewhere in the middle there, right? Because oil prices are still, battling with supply concerns, right? So there's that. But then AUD, NZD are lagging amongst the majors so far. The euro is also there. We had ECB Lagarde on the wires, yesterday, also today as well. And there's really not been any particular solid strength for, the euro on the back of all of this. There's still comments. Yes, some people are talking about 50 basis point hike, 25 basis point hike. That's that expected for the ECB. But, considering the kind of slowdown we're expecting, considering the kind of worries we have in the market right now, I think, well, it's one that we still have to watch out for. But is that, and I said, okay, overall market sentiment remains on the negative side, right, so far this morning. But although most of it spills off from yesterday's session, and with particularly no new developments, small ranges in FX, fairly intraday, one cannot really rule out a shift later in the day, especially as we approach a messy month-end environment, right? Later today, we have a flush of central bank speakers on some from the Bank of England, ECB, particularly we have the Governor Bailey, President Lagarde, and Chapman, Chap Powell as well on the wires. We also have OPEC meetings as well as US PCE for Q1. So just want to quickly run through the chart and just have a picture of what we are really talking about. Now, this is what I'm saying. Yesterday, on the back of the consumer confidence for the US, right about um, 5 p.m. server time or 3 p.m. Nigerian time, right? We had that flush the downside because it came out even lower than markets expected. And it just points to the whole stress because if consumers are not confident enough, they won't spend enough. And if they don't spend enough, the economy cannot really do well. So that's a negative, right? And considering all the central bank tightening, high inflation, all of that's still been a worry, it just saw that flush the downside. So that's really where the negatives are coming from. But right now in today's session, we're belly moved. And that just points to say, yes, that we have risk of. It wouldn't really be a surprise if just some pullback of this, because there's really nothing much, especially if we're approaching month-end, right? Yesterday, we started on the positive side, we pushed higher. I remember saying that we should not get carried away, that it could change before the end of the day. On Monday as well, we also started, on Monday as well, this is Monday, we also started more on the positive side, but we ended up down as well. So all of this still points to a more messy end of the month, end of the quarter, end of half year trading. So as well as traders also want to also be very, very mindful of it. Now, oil prices though, we're still struggling at this key $1 per barrel level, right? It was a previous support resistance level going back to 21st of June, support level going back to the 1st of June, support as well going back to between 20 and 25th of May, as well as even back to the 6th of May. Basically, a very key and interesting level. Now we are above it a bit, but it's still an interesting one, right? But looking intraday, right? Yesterday we made a little bit lower, but now we've pushed higher as well. And then this is just basically net unchanged, right? The daily change so far today is just about 0.21% so far. Nothing much right there. There's still a lot of supply constraints in the oil market, with the Saudis and the UAE saying that they can't really increase production because they're already very close to maximum production levels, right? There's also stress in Libya as well. All of that is still weighing on the amount of supply that we have in the oil markets, right? So there's that. Even though, yes, COVID cases, that's not even better in China, but at least demand was also hit by COVID. So there's also that. But I think the supply concerns outweigh, the demand so far right now. We'll have to see, how that plays out. But right now, so far today, barely done anything. You look at the VIX as well. Another picture right there, right? Yes, yesterday we jumped up on the back of the negatives, especially from the consumer confidence. But so far today, we've not really gone anywhere. Basically flat. And that tells there's a trader you want to be more and more patient, right? In markets like this, you want to be more and more patient in markets like this. Now, we might want to now spill over to FX and now look at, okay, how about we pair strengths and weakness and see how that's looking right now, right? Euro USD, for example. All right, let's start from here. Euro USD, yes, we pulled lower as well in start of the day, negative risk off. But right now, we are back towards very close to flat levels, right? Net change for today is just like 0.06, basically not much there, right? Let's look at AUD USD. Now, this is interesting because, yes, it pulled lower as well today, but right now we're approaching, or we're trading at this key level of support here. You can see previous supports going back to the 23rd of June, 22nd of June. If you even go up some more, also you can see the lows going back. Yes, we broke three, but you can see that every time we're around these levels, we pull them. And this is month end. Really, some profit taking after the kind of downside that we had through the month of June will not really be a surprise. So it's not really breeding so much confidence. You look at NZD USD, similar story there as well, right? Right now we're trading at this overall lows here, right? Basically support levels around here. So yes, we could pair strength versus weakness, but I mean, it's a bit messy to try and just catch in or just, feel confident about the kinds of moves that we're seeing so far. Actually, that we don't really have so much flows right now in today's session. FX trades a little bit mixed here and there. And then in terms of the moves, I'm talking about marginal moves. Most of the moves in the VIX side, on the equity side, are mostly flat. So it becomes trickier to try and jump into any of those things. I think for me, I'm way more patient for the entire week. I'm going to be waiting up and waiting for something more concrete before looking to jump into any of the moves that we're saying, right? You might want to look at CHF and say, okay, CHF still has that overall strength, which is an interesting one, right? Coming from the SNB. So I'm bull on, the CHF. Right, but against the euro, you can see where we're trading right now, still struggling around this key 1.005, level. That was the low going back to the 4th of June. And then, very close as well to the lows that we had going back to the 2nd of March, even though there's still more room. But I mean, we're approaching such levels. Until we clear out this particular level, I wouldn't be interested in looking at this. And then you look at the kinds of moves that we had all through the month of June, right? we've made some solid downside, especially from around the 10th thereabout of June. We made some solid downside. So one can't really rule out some form of pullbacks. What I'm just saying in essence is convictions are really low for the kinds of moves that we're seeing so far. So I think I'm being more patient, with what we are seeing. Now, you want to look at something else, let's say AEDCHF, for example, right? Yes, pulled lower in today's session, down as well, right? Let's just pick this and make this final. All right. It's moved lower in today's session already, down about 0.42% so far today, right? If we wanted to look at this, we could look out for pullbacks towards these levels. If we wanted to look at this, maybe anything back towards the lows, go back to 24th of June, and then we could say, okay, we already even had that a couple of seconds, minutes ago, right? A couple of minutes ago, we already had it as well. We're already pulling lower. So we already missed out on that particular one. But that just shows how we would go about it. Right. I'm not really feeling the confidence level on this, but I mean, if you wanted to take this as well, maybe a rotation back to this level would be interesting to look for a downside on this particular one. And then if you look at, there's one more to pick up. One more. NZD versus CHF. Do I have it up here? NZD CHF. Okay, let's get it up. NZD CHF. Just looking for that particular. All right, so NZD CHF, and then we have gone. All right, now we could look at this as well. Interesting one to pay attention to it. Let's just quickly look through it together. Okay, now the next area of support, we're talking about levels that was seen last back in 2020. That's a big one there. If you want to look at where we are trading right now we're sitting right on support level, very, very clean bounce here, going back to I think November thereabouts or October of 2020, right? Area of support already there. I mean, having to sell into levels like this with such low conviction is a lot tricky, and that's how it really is across board. So I'm being more patient. I think that we could be too as well. On the calendar today, it's going to be interesting. I think it's more saddled with central bank speak, right? Today, Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. Central bank speak. We have a couple of them on the wires. Fed's Mester, ECB Schnabel. We have Fetcher Powell, on the Bailey, President Lagarde on the wires. All of them on the wires. But we also have, US PCE for quarter one, and we also have GDP analyzed for quarter one as well. So all these are still there, but I feel like markets are going to be more and more concerned about what the central bankers have to say as against the data point. These data points are mostly, way past. We've gone past it, right? A long time ago. So I don't expect it to be so much drive, from all this print. But I think the central bank speakers will be interesting. Want to know where central bankers are in terms of what they think about future interest rate hikes amid the economic slowdown we were expecting. So there's that to pay attention to. For now, risk off is still there, but most of the moves are still very marginal. And then, conviction wise, it's really, really, really low. Being more patient and wait out for something clearer before looking to jump into any of the moves you're seeing so far. So that's it for now. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask, and we'll always do our best to help. Thank you, and do enjoy the rest of the trading session. Bye for now.